Today it's Ask Me Anything about living a more healthy, sugar-free life. I'm happy to answer any of your questions today. And because I know that not everybody comes along with a whole bunch of questions already prepared, we're not in a classroom at my college anymore. I thought I would just introduce myself to begin with. And then if you have any questions that you want me to answer about you living your joyful, sugar-free life, then let me know. I'm also here to answer your questions about joining the After Sugar Club. So my name is Netta Gorman, and I'm the person behind Life After Sugar. And about 7.5 years ago, in July 2015, I had been suffering terrible digestive problems as well as other health issues, including depression, anxiety, pain in my joints, frequent headaches, skin issues, infertility issues, all through my 30s and into my 40s. And around 7.5 years ago, I said to myself, I cannot carry on, and I need to do something about especially my digestion, but my general health. To make a long story short, it was suggested to me by a nutritional therapist, in fact, for a period of just 2 weeks, to cut out sugar, sweeteners, and refined grains, flour, and so forth. And I said, no way. No, thank you. Why would I do such a thing when it's my digestion that's the problem? And the one thing that's keeping me feeling better are all my comfort foods. But you know what happens when you don't change anything? Nothing changes. Nothing changes if you don't change something. So I realized that my digestion wasn't getting any better. I'd done everything the doctors had asked me to do, still wasn't getting any better. More fiber was just making things worse for me and my system. So I thought, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. What have I got to lose? I'll try it for 2 weeks. No sugar, no sweeteners, no refined grains, or no grains at all, actually, for 2 weeks. What have I got to lose? Well, I'll tell you what I lost. First of all, I lost some weight, some extra pounds. I lost my achy joints. My movements started getting easier, more supple. I lost my frequent headaches. I lost my energy slumps. I lost my brain fog. I lost my bad digestion. My digestion slowly started getting more and more regular. And I basically lost all my health problems over, not just in 2 weeks, but I continued after those 2 weeks for another week and another week and another week. Ends up, it's been over 7.5 years and I'm still going strong. Why? Because I feel so great. Because what I call now life after sugar is not just about what I eat or what I don't eat. And it's certainly not about living without anything, denying myself anything, or feeling restricted. No way. It's the complete opposite of that. Life after sugar is about feeling free from the hold that sugar used to have on me and very possibly on you. And what I talk about, this freedom, this joyful sugar-free life, that's what life after sugar is all about. That's what I discovered when I stopped eating sugar, flour, and sweeteners. And that's what I want to inspire you to discover in a way that suits you, that is specific to your needs and your lifestyle. Don't have to be exactly like me. In fact, please don't be just like me. Be like you. So today I'm happy to answer any questions you may have for me about living your joyful life after sugar. You can ask me anything to help you out for your life, any tips, anything that you're struggling with, whether it's with sugar, with food, with intermittent fasting. I'm happy to answer your questions today. And I'm also happy to answer your questions about the After Sugar Club. And just so you know, the After Sugar Club is a membership that I've been running for a couple of years now, where I call it the Netflix of sugar in a way, because when you join us, when you sign up, you pay a monthly fee and you have access to all the resources in the After Sugar Club that I've created, the videos, the documents, the different exercises that I've created with my 30 years of experience of being a teacher, that I've created to help you, to help walk you through step by step, getting to this place where you don't need or miss sugar anymore. And that's what I call freedom from sugar. And so the After Sugar Club, the price is going up on March 1st, 2023. So join us before the price goes up. I'll put the link in the comments after our conversation, after this live. But really, the reason why I created the After Sugar Club was because I had to do this all on my own. It was a wonderful decision to cut sugar, flour, and sweeteners, but it's really difficult to do on your own. And it's really difficult in social situations, when there's holidays and festivals. And what I say is that real life carries on, even if you don't eat sugar. And in all the years that I've been sugar-free, real life has thrown some pretty crazy curveballs at me and my family and the whole of the planet with the pandemic. And so you can still be sugar-free with real life going on around you. It's just that it's easier to do it when you've got the guidance of someone who's already doing it and has been doing it for several years, like myself, and has experience and knows how to handle different types of situations. And it's easier as well when you're with other people who are also in the same situation as you. So I'm inviting you to join us in the After Sugar Club. As I say, I'm just checking my phone because I can't see the comments pop up where I am right now. So I'm going to have a look at them on my phone. And Martin, welcome. You're saying that you're trying to abstain from sugar, but you haven't started yet. You're eating about 130 calories of sugar or so. Any words of wisdom? Well, Martin, my words of wisdom, such as they are, is not to worry too much about calories per se, or grams of sugar. And I would start with training your taste buds to need and want and get used to less and less sweet tastes. Why? Because I think personally, from my personal experience, I think we have been conditioned, and I remember you saying this in our community, because Martin is in the After Sugar Club. I remember you saying that, you want to finish every meal. You're used to finishing every meal with something sweet. And in my humble opinion, that for many, many, many of us is a type of conditioning where we've always believed that's what you do. You finish a meal as if putting down your knife and fork is not sufficient, and B, finishing it with something sweet, which doesn't have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be automatic. So my words of wisdom for you, Martin, is to retrain your taste buds to need less sweetness in general, and to reframe how you see a meal with questioning this automatic kind of belief that we have to finish a meal and finish it with something sweet, even if it's fruit or anything like that. And I have nothing against fruit. What I'm encouraging you to do is to rethink, reframe how you've always seen something. And then when you manage to do that, when you manage to kind of say, well, wait a minute, what do I automatically need to finish a meal and finish it with something sweet? Who's writing the rules here? And if you're writing your own rules, or just getting rid of rules altogether, which I'm a big fan of, then you don't actually need to finish off a meal with anything. It's a question of a change of habits. Some people like to have little mini micro changes in habits. And I know, Martin, that you're very good at habit changes. So if it's too much to handle all at once, like suddenly going from having a dessert after every meal to nothing at all, which is what I did, and I can tell you it's pretty intense. What you can do is after a meal for the first week, you can just have a little bit of fruit. And then the second week, you can have slightly less fruit or less sweet fruit. And then gradually you can get to a point where you're putting down your knife and fork after your savory meal and you're feeling completely satisfied as is. So hopefully that helps a little bit, Martin, and everyone that's listening as well. I'm going to have a quick look to see excuse me if I'm looking down, I'm sort of in two places at once, and I'm going to try and see if I can see comments that appear in different places. I'm not very tech-minded, so do excuse me. We have Veronica who's here. Lovely to see you, Veronica. We have Joan here who's saying that the After Sugar Club is awesome. Thank you, Joan. Thank you. So much great information, says Joan. The community is so helpful is in knowing I'm not alone. And yes, Joan, you hit the nail on the head. It's why I created the After Sugar Club, so that you don't feel alone, because let's face it, we're still rare birds in society who have chosen, it's a choice, who have chosen not to eat sugar, flour, sweeteners, any one of those or all of them. And we come across social pressure and comments, right, Joan? And just some people who don't understand why we're doing this and don't understand that we actually feel better in life after sugar than before. It's not at all the diet mentality of you can or you can't, you're allowed, you're not allowed. We don't kind of subscribe to any of that type of diet mentality. You do it because you feel better, or you want to feel better, and you do it because it's your choice. Doesn't mean you can't eat sugar. It means you've chosen not to. Why? Because you just feel better without it, and without all the health issues that come along with eating a whole bunch of sugar. So thank you, Joan. It's so lovely to have us in the community. And it's wonderful because it's a small group and we get to know each other. Veronica's in there as well. And so, Veronica, you're asking, what would be the first step you recommend someone to take if they want to get rid of sugar in their life? Good question, Veronica. And a lot of people focus on the food. And of course, the food is important. But my first step would be to focus on your mindset and how you see sugar and food and your own well-being. When you put your own well-being first as a top priority, which is not easy for us to do, for most of us, especially for mothers, but for people in general, when we decide, look, I'm going to put my well-being at the top of my list of priorities, then that includes changing what you eat so that you feel better, more energetic, better movements, better health in general, lower risk of all kinds of metabolic problems. And so to answer your question, I have kind of two parts as an answer, Veronica. First, to change your mindset, or to start changing your mindset, because it's easier said than done, to put your well-being first and to do what it takes for that to happen. And second is to reevaluate your definition of what food is. Most of us have been kind of hoodwinked by the processed food industry, and I would say also the diet industry, to believe that the, 80,000 or so packaged products that are on our grocery shelves are food, pre-packaged and tampered with by the food industry, and hyper palatable and super, unnatural. We believe or I believed for the longest time, that these were foods. Whereas if you see real whole foods as being ingredients for your meals rather than choosing products that have a list of ingredients, then you can go more to the outskirts around the perimeter of the grocery store, and that's where the real foods hang out. So for omnivores like myself, meat, fish, seafood, or plant-based proteins, nuts and seeds, for example, and also fruit and vegetables, and also fermented dairy. Those of you who know me know that I love fermented dairy, the yogurt that I make, the milk kefir, for example, cheese, butter, sour cream, all of these. I've got nothing against dairy, and if it suits you, great, and if it doesn't, fine. And also fermented foods and drinks, plus eggs, plus nuts. I don't know if I mentioned them. And so it may seem restrictive when the list is relatively short for real whole foods, but actually, when you're in the After Sugar Club, you get ideas for thousands of different combinations that you can make with real whole ingredients. And you don't have to be some kind of super chef. You can do what I call ingredient assembly and assemble ingredients on a plate for a meal. And you don't even have to spend hours and hours in the kitchen. I certainly don't. I've got other things to do with my life. I do enjoy cooking, but it doesn't take hours and hours to assemble real whole foods to make meals. And I know, Veronica, that you learned how to do this in the After Sugar Club because we were there together. And thank you for your great question. And let's have a look now. I'm just trying to work this out on my phone. Now I found the comments. Let me see. Joan, you were saying that the last time that you were at the grocery store, you decided that it's only about 5% real food. Isn't it crazy? And you're in the States, and I'm pretty sure it's the same here in Canada. And I'm relatively sure it's very similar in Europe and Australia and other parts of the world. It seems like it's a very, very restricted choice of foods. But then again, I'm asking you, and Joan, I know you're in the process of doing this, to reframe, reevaluate how you see food. Because in my humble opinion, if it's 5%, I think it may be a little bit more, but we're not going to argue about a few percent. But let's say it's 5%, as you say, Joan. The other 95% of what's in the grocery store, I don't even grace with the word food. I don't consider it as food. It's off my radar, and it can be off your radar because it's not nourishing you. It's creating blood sugar spikes, insulin spikes, cravings. It's got all kinds of additives and all forms of sugars and starches. It's not nourishing foods. And even the 5% that's left of real whole foods, as I was just saying before, there are actually hundreds of thousands of different combinations that you can use these real whole foods to make different meals. You don't have to eat the same thing twice ever if you don't want to. I do, because I like some of the things I make. But yeah, I tell you, Joan, I agree. It's mind-blowing just how big of a percentage in the grocery stores there is of processed foods. And I live in a tiny town. I don't have the big box stores. There aren't any like specialized stores in my town. And I still manage to eat real whole foods 99% of the time, even with that 5%. Yeah. And let me see now. And Wendy, hi Wendy, lovely that you're here. Also saying, if Wendy's in After Sugar Club, that she says that the support, information and accountability in the After Sugar Club is awesome. That's because you're in it, Wendy. Thank you. And I feel like everyone there is a real friend, says Wendy. Yes, it's really heartwarming. What a wonderful little community we've created in the After Sugar Club. Yes, it is like a group of friends, and we meet twice a month on Zoom for our check-in calls. And we really get to know each other. That's where the magic happens. And Wendy, you were saying that you say, I find if I want something sweet after a meal, it's because the fat content of the meal, and I would add also the protein, was not enough for me. Yep, I'm adding avocados and making much richer dressings for side salads and veg, because you're vegan, right, Wendy? As I don't eat meat, exactly. So yeah, people tend to freak out when we talk about higher fat content. And I was actually asked today whether I'm keto. And first of all, no, I'm Netta. That's my name. That's my identity. I don't identify with keto, got nothing against it, just don't identify with it. All the rules and all that stuff I can't deal with. But that's just me, you know. But yes, in society, again, we've sort of been conditioned to be scared of good fats or fats in general, without that distinction between good fats and less good fats, or unprocessed and processed fats. And actually, you know, what you're saying, Wendy, about putting more fats into your meal, that doesn't mean that it's, I don't remember the percentages in keto, it's something like 80% fat. That doesn't mean that your meal is 80% fat content. It just means you're putting a little bit more. If you're talking about an avocado, I mean, that's a reasonable amount of good fats, unprocessed, good natural plant-based fats to put in your meal. And, you know, you can add olive oil to your dressing and put a little bit more on. And it's not an enormous or exaggerated amount of fat. And it keeps you fuller longer, gives you energy, as I know you found. So, yeah, and it can keep those cravings at bay. Because if you're finishing a meal and you're totally satisfied with the quantity, the taste, and the protein content, the fat content, then you're not going to be hankering after anything dessert-like after the meal, because you're satisfied. And that is also part of life after sugar, and it's part of what we work towards in the After Sugar Club. It's a way of not just eating, but a way of living life where you're satisfied with what you have, because you're choosing what's good for you and your needs and your body. So thank you, Wendy. Let's have a look, see if I've got some more here on the Facebook page for Life After Sugar. I'm just having a look. Let me know if you've got some different questions. I've got here now Leah, who's piggybacking on Wendy's comment. Thank you. Because I can't figure out how to make my own comment. Don't worry, Leah, I can't figure out how to see the comments. And that's another part of life after sugar. No need to be perfect. We don't accept perfectionism in the After Sugar Club. Thank you. So thank you, Leah, for being one of us. I feel less alone being imperfect. But you're saying, do you have a sliding fee scale for the club? I'm on disability and have very little money. It's less expensive right now to join, Leah, than it will be. The price is going up slightly because we're adding so much stuff to the After Sugar Club. So it will be going up on March 1st, and it will be monthly, whereas right now it's for 3 months at a time. So on a monthly basis, in a way, it will be less expensive from March 1st. So you can just join for 1 month if you want to check it out. And at the moment, the price is for a 3-month period. But because we meet so often on Zoom, and we're very active. You get a lot of access to me in the community. I think the After Sugar Club members will agree that it's a very reasonable fee for everything you get, including all the resources in the After Sugar Club. So if you want to just join for 1 month, for example, or 1 month from time to time, you can do that after March 1st. Or for a 3-month period, you can do that before March 1st. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And, you know, I give a lot of stuff for free all the resources on my website, aftersugarclub.com. You've got videos there, you've got resources to download. Same thing on my Facebook page, on YouTube, on Instagram. My kid made a TikTok account for me, which I'm giving 1 tip a day for 28 days in February right now. So lots and lots of free resources out there. And of course, my podcast, Life After Sugar podcast, which is also free to listen to. So hopefully, Leah, that helps a little bit, that you get the inspiration that you need. Let's have a look if I can find some more. Let's see now. I can see on the Facebook page. I'm trying to see if I can see on on the Life After Sugar YouTube channel. Honestly, I don't know how I get through the day. I'm so technically challenged. I'm going to try and see if I can find it here. I think I'm okay for the comments, but you let me know if you have more comments, and I'll try and find them wherever they may be. I'm going to see if I'm sort of just having a quick break here to see if I can find the comments on the YouTube channel. I don't know how to do that, but I'm looking at, I think, the comments on the Facebook page as we speak. I had an experience. I just want to tell you, because I tell these stories in the After Sugar Club, and I had an experience today that I wanted to tell you about. I was at the hospital for a regular checkup. You know, they like to see you when you get to a certain age. And I'm almost 53 now, so they like to see me every now and again for a wellness checkup. And the nurse that was doing my little test said to me, she said, I said to her, oh, you've got very cold hands. And she said, yes, but after I eat, I warm up a bit, but then I fall asleep. I get all sleepy after I eat. She says, you know, everyone does. I said, no, I don't. I said, maybe it's because of what I eat. Maybe it's to do with what I eat. And she was like, well, maybe you don't, what do you eat? So I told her that I actually told her what I don't eat. I said, well, I don't actually eat sugar or flour or sweeteners. And she says, are you keto? I get this question 101 times a day. I said, no, I'm not keto. I don't follow any kind of rules. I just eat what I feel good eating. And she says, well, maybe you moderate your portions. And I said, no, I don't. I just eat as much as I want until I'm full, and you should see me eat a big steak, right? And it doesn't affect my weight. And I said, I don't fall asleep after I eat. I said to her, and I'll tell you my secret. Oh, and she was like, oh, I want to know your secret. And she's a nurse. She should be telling me her secrets. Anyway, I said to her, because I don't eat sugars and starches as part of my meals, I said to her, I don't get the blood sugar spikes and crashes, and I don't get the insulin spikes that come with eating sugars and starches. And therefore, I said to her, my insulin level, my blood sugar levels are totally the level. And that for me means I don't have energy slumps. I don't fall asleep after a meal. I'm not bloated after a meal. I feel with like stable energy all day long. And she was like, really? Like, that's all it takes? Oh, and she like walked off with like, oh, I know the secret now. And now you know the secret as well. One of the secrets. Yeah, that's my little story for you today. Joan, you were saying, can you talk about fermented food and the health benefits? Oh, Joan, don't get me started. One thing that sets the After Sugar Club apart a couple of things. First things, we're not sort of deep, serious sugar addicts in the After Sugar Club. You have to know that. And we're not for people with recognized food addiction or eating disorders. But the other thing that sets the After Sugar Club apart is that I teach about fermented foods and drinks to look after your gut health. And a lot of people, Joan, yourself included, I think, and a lot of people who come into the After Sugar Club are curious about gut health and fermented foods and drinks, but don't really know anything about them. That's the best place to be when you're with a teacher and when you want to learn something new. And you know, if I like to say that the people who are attracted to the After Sugar Club are open-minded and a little bit adventurous and are willing to try something new, of which fermented foods and drinks. So now in the stores, fermented foods and drinks like kombucha are becoming more and more popular. But I do need to give my own personal kind of red flag for store-bought kombucha, which for the most part, unfortunately, is part of the processed foods industry, even if, you know, it looks very natural. Sometimes a lot of kombucha brands are really glorified 7-Up, I would say, glorified soda drinks, and very often with lots of sugary additives put in after the second fermentation, and or carbonized water or bubbly water, whereas real kombucha that you can make yourself at home very easily with some black tea and a SCOBY and some regular sugar, which people freak out about. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But real kombucha that you make at home does not need any kind of additive, does not need to be carbonated to make it bubbly. It's actually the good bacteria during the fermentation process. I mentioned that you put in sugar at the beginning, but the good bacteria eats up the sugar and creates the bubbles with the lactic acid and creates the fermented product of the sweet tea. So it starts off as sweet tea, ends up as a bubbly fermented drink called kombucha. And the longer it ferments or brews, the longer it ferments, the less residual sugar there is and the less sugary it tastes. So some people let their kombucha ferment for 7 days, 10 days. For me, it's 4 weeks and more. It may be a little bit vinegary for the regular person, the regular palate, but because my palate is so used to the absence of sweet tastes, I think it's delicious. And Joan, you make your own kombucha. Wendy, Veronica, the people who came and who are in the After Sugar Club, pretty much most of them learn how to make kombucha. Most are learning how to make either yogurt, and I use a villi culture, which is a mesophilic culture, which just ferments at room temperature. You don't need a yogurt maker. You don't need to heat up the milk, and keep it simple. Keep it simple. Milk kefir as well, with milk kefir grains. I say kefir. Some people say kefir. It's all good. Kefir, milk kefir, is about 10 times more probiotic than yogurt. And we make it plain. I make it with 10% cream or single cream, light cream. I eat it like yogurt. When I break my fast, I eat it like yogurt. I also teach how to make sauerkraut and kimchi, which are fermented veggies. Sauerkraut are lacto-fermented cabbage, basically. Chop up the cabbage, put it in some brine, according to a certain recipe. And over about 3 weeks, again, the lactic acid, the good bacteria create or ferment the cabbage and not only make it probiotic. All lacto-fermented foods and drinks that I teach about are probiotic. Not only does it make the cabbage, sauerkraut, probiotic, but it actually increases its nutritional value as well. So that really it's not just for gut health and your digestion, these fermented foods and drinks. It's also to widen your palate. It's also because in your gut, is where about 95% of serotonin and a good portion of dopamine is created. And they call the gut the second brain, because a lot of the neurotransmitters that are involved in either cravings or feeling great so that we are just happy and we don't have cravings, a lot of them are produced in the gut. And studies are now showing more and more that when you look after your gut health, first, in my opinion, by cutting sugar and preferably refined grains, and then by adding fermented foods and drinks to your diet and real whole foods, when you do those two things, then not only does your digestion and your gut health improve, but all of your health improves, not just physical, but psychological and emotional as well. So I could go on and on and on about gut health and fermented foods and drinks. Joan, you open the floodgates there. But thank you for the question. And you may not know anything about fermented foods and drinks when you come into the After Sugar Club. That's just fine, because that's what I'm there for, is to teach you. And you get access to all my how-to videos and the recipes, and you get to ask me all your questions. Yeah, and so yes, and Veronica, you're saying that kombucha is delicious. Yeah, and I remember seeing a picture that you posted in our community of like a dozen different jars and bottles of kombucha, and you're like making them for your sister and your parents, and it's wonderful. So yeah, it's simple to make. It's anything that's new is a bit difficult to get your head wrapped around, or it's a little bit scary to think about leaving stuff to ferment on the counter or at room temperature. And that's another conditioning that we've had, to put everything in the fridge. It's not dangerous to ferment your foods and drinks if you follow a recipe, if you have someone with a bit of experience to walk you through it. And quite frankly, people are scared of fermented foods and drinks way more than they're scared of all the highly, highly processed products at the grocery store. So it's like a bit upside down of what we're scared of. So yeah, all right. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to take a few more minutes to answer them here. As I say, for some reason, I cannot see the questions on my screen. I have to kind of double check on my phone. So I do excuse me if I'm sort of looking sideways or down from time to time, but I'm quite happy to get your questions here. And I wanted to tell you that as of March 1st, the After Sugar Club will have like two different tiers, as it were, two different types of membership programs, if you will. The regular one that you can sign up for month by month, and that you can cancel anytime. You can stay for a month. You can add another month as you wish. And you have what I call the premium After Sugar Club. That's going to begin on March 1st, which is where you get 12 extra calls with me. It can be over a 12-week period. It can be a shorter period or a longer period, as you wish, but you get more customized, personalized guidance and feedback from me. And I will be walking you through specific exercises and assignments that I've created to really help you step by step, week by week, to get to what I call real freedom from sugar, where you don't need sugar anymore, you don't miss sugar anymore, it's off your radar. And it's not just a question of what you eat. It's a question of mindset and how you transform. I will help you transform your relationship with sugar, which for many of us, for myself, it took so long, and I would have just loved to have someone with experience who's done it, who's thought about it, to guide me, walk me through, which is why I'm offering that in the premium version of the After Sugar Club. It's actually called the Life After Sugar program, and that program is available now, but after March 1st, it will be included in the premium version of the After Sugar Club. And the premium version also includes 1 whole year for free in the After Sugar Club for ongoing support and accountability. So it's the best way to kind of go on the fast track to getting to living a joyful, healthier, sugar-free life. So that's what I wanted to tell you about as well. Before I forget, I'm looking at my phone to see if there are any more comments or questions. If you have a question or comment for me and I missed it because I don't know where I'm looking exactly, then I promise I will read all the comments and I will get to yours and I will answer it by typing it in if I haven't answered it verbally yet. And if you're watching this as a replay because you couldn't make it live, no worries. I wrote to you this morning, or to the people on my mailing list. Those of you who want me to send you the replay, I will do that. If you ask me to, I will do that with pleasure. And for those of you who are on either Facebook or Instagram, I think I'm on at the same time, and YouTube for the Life After Sugar YouTube channel, this video will stay up here forever and you'll be able to revisit it whenever you want. So thank you for being here. Thank you for asking me your questions and for your comments. And if you have any more questions, any more comments, either about living your life after sugar or about the After Sugar Club, then you know where to find me. Just let me know.